Welcome to another session on VLSI design. It's the module 2, part 5. So in the previous video, that is part 4 video, so we discussed on sheet resistance and standard unit of gate capacitance, right? And where you are measuring your resistance of any layer using sheet resistance RS, okay? And in turn the RS value can be calculated individually for particular process technology. Okay, so similarly for standard unit of gate capacitance, so we again can calculate your CG, that is standard unit of gate capacitance for particular process. Okay, so today we will try to learn the concept of inverter delays and what is rise time, what will be the fall time, and what do you mean by delay time. Okay, so this is the case and we will try to move on to this. And before going to study this inverter delays and everything, so we'll try to analyze the concept of capacitance, that is MOS capacitance first. So what are the parasitic capacitances which can be seen in a MOSFET, and how we can try to go for seeing the load capacitance. So because when you see any circuit, so inverter circuit where you're explaining, so we used to have something like CL, that is load capacitance. So what actually that is load capacitance? So that CL is not a capacitance, load capacitance that actually you put there. Okay, you're not putting there any capacitance there as a load capacitance, just as you do in your analog labs. You're going to put some 0.01 microfarad, something like, you're going to put some capacitance there in order to see the output. So this is not the same load capacitance we are going to put there. So we'll try to study the concept of that. So what are the MOS capacitance first? So then we'll move on to the delays of inverters and every other aspects. Okay, right. So okay, so we already familiar with the structure of the MOSFET. So in the structure of the MOSFET, so you can see there is a source region and this will be our drain region, right? So the drain region, polysilicon, silicon dioxide, the substrate. Okay, right. So many cases there exist capacitance here. So we call these as parasitic capacitances. And why we are getting these capacitances means, because during the fabrication process, so you cannot say the ideally you can get the source and drain exactly like this. Okay, so there is a possibilities, most of the cases the chances of overlapping of the regions, that is behind below the polysilicon surface, that is silicon dioxide surface. Okay, and if that is the case, so you can see here if there is a overlapping here and similarly some overlapping here, in that case you can see there is a conductivity, is conductor is there, it's a semiconductor, right? So it's a semiconductor, right? So in that case there is a conducting material here, conducting material here, and below that you have silicon dioxide here. So in this case, so this is a dielectric material, right? Silicon dioxide, and again this again constitutes your parallel plate capacitance, similar to parallel plate capacitance. So how means this is a conductor, this is a dielectric material here, and here the another conducting material. So this constitutes some capacitance here. So from this polysilicon to this substrate, sorry, this diffusion region. So in this case, if you consider this is source, so there exists a capacitance between polysilicon, that is gate terminal, to the source terminal. So we can call that as capacitance between gate to source, that is we call a CGS. So similar way, so we have a capacitance exists between uh, gate terminal and drain terminal, that is your CGD. And similarly we have something like polysilicon to substrate, or we can call it a bulk. Okay, it's a polysilicon, there is silicon dioxide here, this is a substrate we are having. So both are conducting material, and we have here dielectric material. So there exists a capacitance here also, so this we call as a gate to bulk, that is CGB. Okay, so these are something like gate capacitances going to associate. So similarly, so there are something like diffusion capacitance here, something like from diffusion to your substrate, this is your source terminal, and this is a N substrate, this is P substrate, right? So in this case, so here, so these are connecting using connecting, so there exists a depletion region here, right? So there exists a depletion region between them, and this depletion region is nothing but a charge free region. So this is actually acting as a dielectric material here. Okay, so between the two conductors, so there exists some capacitance between these two also. So from source to bulk we have a capacitance we call as CSB. Okay, and similarly we have some capacitance between your drain terminal and your substrate terminal. So this is the case again. So here we can call as this is a CGB. Okay, so this actually interchanged here. So this is sorry, this will be uh, yes, so this should be B here. So CG, sorry, this will be something like drain terminal, right? So CDB. Okay, this is so wrong here, what is typing mistake. Okay, this will be from source to sorry, drain to bulk, so this is CDB. Okay, so these are the capacitances you can see in any MOSFET. Okay, we call it a parasitic capacitances. Okay, so how we can see the load capacitance. So in order to understand that, so we'll take some two cascaded stage of inverter. So like this, so we have one inverter here and one inverter here. So this inverter is driving this inverter. Okay, so if you look at the point here, okay, so this point, at this point, so where my marker is there here, so at this point, so we can see so just a minute, I'll just take a marker here. So this is the point here. Okay, so at this point if you try to see the capacitances from this view, if you start seeing this side from this point, so you can see different capacitances here. So the capacitances are something like gate to drain, this is CGD, and here something like C dB. Okay, so this is for PMOS. Similarly for CGD for NMOS, CDB for NMOS. Okay, so this actually you are see internal, so it is not able to see properly, so because of the figure. Okay, right, so this will be our C internal capacitance. So these are the capacitance associated. Okay, and here if you see from this side towards here, you can see these two, it is actually driving two transistor, right? So since it is driving two transistor here, so it's actually seeing some capacitance here also. Okay, so this we can call CG for gate capacitance of PMOS and gate capacitance of NMOS. So these are the capacitance you can see from this particular node. Okay, and all these capacitances, okay, can be clubbed together, and we call something a lumped capacitance, and we can see that lumped capacitance as a load capacitance replaced here. Okay, so whenever I say this is a load capacitance here, so this in turn means the overall capacitance, that is inclusion of all these things. Okay, your CL is equal to CDGN, CDGP, CDBN, CDBP, C internal capacitance. Internal capacitance is wiring capacitance. So you will have some wiring right from here to here. So that wiring is going to also provide some capacitance effect. So that we call as a wiring or internal capacitance. And similarly, we have something like CGN and CGP. So all these capacitances together, so will make your, we assume it as a load capacitance. So this how load capacitance concept origins. Okay, right. So the next we go for something like inverter delays. So when we have two inverters cascaded together, so how do we estimate a delay? What will be the delay? So okay, so we will consider here as an example. We have two inverters like this, so cascaded together, and these are inverters are NMOS inverters. So NMOS inverter means, so we'll be having uh, this one. This will be your NMOS inverter. So using depletion mode NMOS transistor as a pull-up device. Okay, so this exactly will be this one. Okay, towards the right side. Right. So in the previous session we already discussed the inverter delays. Okay, so inverter resistance and inverter capacitances, okay, that we are discussing in the previous video. So we're going to use that concept here. Right. So here transition here. So one thing is it's a ratioed logic, right? So we are sending 4 is to 1 means Z is equal to Z pull up device is 4, Z pull down device is your 1. That means it may be um, this inverter may be something like 8 is to 8 is to 2 or 4 is to 1. Okay, and this may be 1 is to 1, something like that. That will become Z pull up is equal to 4 is to 1, Z pull down is equal to 1 is to 1. So essentially your Z pull up divided by pull down will be 4 by 1. So this will be your ratio of this inverter. And when you consider this inverter here, so there is the input we are applying here. So the transition is from 0 to high. So when you are applying here 0 to high transition here, so we can see, so what happens in the for this inverter? For this inverter, if you look at this, so when you are applying your input as 1, so your pull down transistor is on. Okay, right? Pull down transistor is on, and similarly, so you can see here. So what are the capacitance you are giving here? So it's only one terminal, because so this actually inverter is driving another inverter, and from this node, if you see the what is the capacitance associated here, you can see it's only from one gate capacitance. So let's say unit size, we can say standard capacitances. So this will be seeing your standard unit of gate capacitance square of the CG here. Okay, so what will be the delay here? So for this delay, so you'll be having for this, so this is only 1 is to 1 ratio is there. So the sheet resistance RS value will be 1 time RS. Okay, and we are seeing capacitance as CG here. Okay, so because in this case the uh, whatever the delay is there, R into C is their delay, right? So 1 time RS into 1 time, so CG, square of CG, that means your 1 tau. So this is nothing but 1 tau. What is tau here? So tau is nothing but sheet resistance into standard gate of capacitance. Okay, so this will be 1 tau. Okay, similarly when you go for from this stage, the second stage, so here when you're applying here input 1, so obviously you're going to get here input as, so output as logic 0. So in this case at this particular node, so you are getting logic 0 as an output. So in this case what will happen, so this will be driving 0 input is driving this inverter. So when you are applying the logic 0 here, so the V in this transistor will be turned off. Okay, so this will be turned off. So in this case, so only this is going to act here. Okay, so here this is actually having the Z, that is Z pull up as 4 is to 1, that is 4. Okay, so the resistance offered by this will be 4 times the this transistor. Okay, that means it's 4 times. So in this case, what will happen, so the delay will be, this will be 4 times the resistance, that is 4 times RS. Okay, so this will be open circuit, right? This will be off. So this will be, so this at this case this will be your square of CG will be there, so 1 unit, and you will have the ratio as here as 4 times the RS. So 4 times the RS into CG, we will get something like 4 tau. Okay, so from here to here we have delay of 1 tau, and from here to here we will have the delay of 4 tau. Okay, so this will be your delay unit. Okay, delay unit of time, so that is tau, we call it tau. We will see this later also. Okay, so total from here to here, so for this cascaded stage, so what will be the total delay? So it will be 1 tau plus 4 tau, that will be 5 tau. Okay, so this can also be uh, calculated here, the T equals 1 plus Z of pull up divided by Z of pull down network into tau. Okay, times of tau. So Z pull up is 4 here, Z pull down is 1 here, that is 4 by 1. So 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 times tau. Okay, we can calculate in this way also. This is the equation. Right, so this is about your NMOS inverters. So we will try to go for CMOS inverter. Okay, so in this case, so what I'm doing is we are considering your CMOS inverters which is having equal size of pull up and pull down network. Okay, right, so there is no variations in the width W. Okay, for PMOS and NMOS, so both will be equal, that is your size of pull up transistor, that is P transistor, and pull down transistor will be same. So that means your RS will be in asymmetry in nature. Okay, because your NMOS, if NMOS is going to give you say 1 kilo ohm, something like that, okay, so your PMOS of the same size is going to give you 2.5 times of the NMOS. Okay, that means your 2.5 times means you can get 2.5k, something like that. Okay, so resistance will be asymmetric here. Okay, so in this case you will try to analyze. So this will be your CMOS inverter cascaded here. So I am just depicted this circuit in this manner. Okay, internally, right, and here, so similar way you are having transition from 0 to 1. So in this case, if you are giving 1 here, you should get 0 here. If you give 1 here, what will happen? So PMOS will be off, NMOS will be on. Okay, so PMOS will be off, NMOS will be on. That is the thing. And whatever the resistance is there, the delay is contributed by only this transistor, so not this one, because so only this transistor is turned on. Okay, right. In this case, what will happen? So the RS will be taken from this transistor, that is your one time RS. Okay, example, if you are taken here as 10 kilo ohm, they are taken, okay, 10k, right? So similarly, you can see here, for CG we have taken two times of gate capacitance, standard unit of gate capacitance. So this is the reason is, because from this node, if you look at this towards this side, okay, so from this node, if you try to look towards here, okay, so you can see, so this node, from this node you can see it is actually driving two transistor. Okay, that means here we have one gate capacitance, here we are having another gate capacitance, so we have two times of CG. Okay, that's the reason the load here, the CT is denoted as two times of CG here. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, so here, so this will be one time RS. Okay, this will be two times CG. Okay, so total you're going to get two times RS into CG, that is 2 tau. So this is the delay, you're going to get 2 tau here. Okay, so similarly at this stage, if you are giving 1 here, you're going to get 0 here. So this 0 will be input for this inverter. So obviously if you are giving 0 here, so what are the conditions of these two transistor? So this transistor will be in off condition, since the logic 0 is there, so PMOS will be in on condition. Okay, so since PMOS is in on condition, the delay contributed by this inverter will supposedly contributed by this PMOS device, not this NMOS device. Okay, and when you come for resistance here, I told you it is almost 2 times more, approximately 2.5 times more resistance offered than your NMOS transistor. That means if this is RS, so this PMOS is going to provide 2.5 times of RS. Okay, so in this case, this will be the resistance offered here is 2.5 times RS, and again the gate capacitance you can see here is 2 times of CG. So that means 2 into 2.5 RS into CG you are going to get. That means 2 into 2.5 is 5. So you are going to get 5 RS into CG thing, but your tau. Okay, so 5 tau you are going to get the delay in this case. Okay, so that is shown here. This will be a 2 tau delay from here to here for this transition. Okay, 0 to 1 transition, and this will be your 5 tau. So total delay from here to here will be 7 tau. Okay, 2 plus 5. Okay, so what happens if you go for changing the transition here? So now I am taking here 0 to 1 transition. You start with 0 to, sorry, 1 to 0 transition here. So in that case also the 7 tau remains same. So only thing is these two will interchange. So because if you give logic 0 here, you're going to get 1 here. So that means if you give logic 0 here, you're going to get 1. That means 0 means this PMOS will be turned on. So here you're going to get 2.5 into 2 times CG, 5 tau. So here you're going to get 5 tau. So once you get logic 1 here, so this will turn on, this will turn off. So this will be 1 time RS into CG. You're going to get 2 tau. So 5 tau will be, this one will be 5 tau, this one will be 2 tau. So total again it will come for 7 tau. So for inverter delays, that is two cascaded CMOS inverter delay will be independent of the input transitions, you are going to get your 7 tau delay. Okay, right. So this will be your inverter delays. Right. So then next we have a concept of so delay unit of time. So as you've seen, we are expressing your resistance in terms of RS. At the same time, we are expressing your capacitance in terms of standard unit of gate capacitance. Okay, that is what is the resistance? Okay, 5 times RS, 6 times RS. What is the capacitance? Okay, 7 times of CG, 6 times of CG. We are going to express. And in the previous session, I told you each individual RS and CG can be calculated the value of in terms of nanosecond, picosecond, whatever for particular technology, process technology. So similarly, so we are going to express your delays here in terms of tau. So that tau we call as a delay unit of time. Okay, so you can define this as a time for a standard feature size gate area capacitance being charged through one feature size square of the n channel resistance. Okay, so you can simply say tau is nothing but 1 times rs, that is for n channel, into 1 times the square of cg. Okay, this is what I discussed in the previous slide. Okay, rs into cg, we are going to tau. Okay, right. So you can see this here, the example here we are taking. So we have a MOS fast transistor here, the minimum size. It is driving the gate capacitance of unit gate capacitance, standard gate capacitance here. And what is the time taken for this, whatever the output you're getting, time taken for that to rise from 0 to 0.63 VDD. So that we can call the time constant or delay unit of time, tau. Okay, right. So we're getting again another concept here in terms of time. So make sure you're not confused with that. This is your unit of time. Okay, tau. And again for particular technology, so your tau will be different. So for 2 microprocessor, tau will be different. Okay, if you're having some delay of 5 tau, okay, so the tau value can be changing with respect to technology. Okay, right. So we have another term called delay time. So delay time can be defined as the time difference between the input transition, that is 50% input transition, to the 50% output transitions. Okay, or you can say the time difference between the midpoint of the input swing and the midpoint of the output signal or output swing. Right. So essentially, so I have two concepts here. So we're discussing this. So assume that we have an inverter. Okay, okay, so I'll discuss inverter here, and your inverter input, this is your input waveform, this will be your output waveform. So this input waveform, so I'm having from so here, so 1 to low, so transition, so we're getting some output like this. Okay, so just go for this the next stage. So we have something like T1 T0. So we'll just go to the next slide, so we'll have detail there. Okay, so here, so if you assume an inverter and you're applying some input voltage V in, okay, so what will happen? So according to your input, so your output capacitance, load capacitance, either it will charge to VDD or it will discharge to the ground. So depending upon input combination, whatever the transition you're going to give. Okay, and this is your input waveform. So this will be your output waveform. If we take here, so ideally we can take, this is my input transition. Okay, I'm making from high to low for this duration, and low here, and again I'm making it as high. Okay, right. So but ideally this is okay, but when you see the practicalness, so the waveforms will not abruptly falls to 0 or abruptly rise to VDD. So it will take some time to rise to VDD, and it is going to take some time to come down from VDD to ground. Okay, so for our case we will try to assume, so this will be the transition from here for practicalness. Okay, so this is the ideal one, but when you go for the practical aspect, so assume that this will be the line. Okay, dotted line will be the transition, actual transition happening. Okay, and we can take this the VDD by to the midpoint swing here. Okay, so in this case, when we go for, so this will be say your ideal, but it is not possible. So you will have this your transition. So it is not always like this. It will always some delay will be there for this. So as soon as your input is moved to 0 here, okay. So we will take this point here. So this is input transition, midpoint of the input transition T naught, and once it is 0, so then your output actually changes, right, from like this. So it will changes like this to the VDD. So it is not going to directly charge to VDD abruptly. Again, it's going to take some time. So you know the how the capacitance charges. Okay, right. So suppose it is going to reach your VDD like this, and I will take some transition point here as a midpoint for our reference. So this will be our T2 point. Okay, so this is one thing. And similarly, when your input goes from 0 to high like this is the ideal one. So but actually practically you can take this like this dotted line. Okay, and this is your input where you are going to change the input. So this is T2 time will take. Okay, so what are the outputs being? So after your, it was earlier it was in a high state, and once your input goes like this high, so output essentially should goes to 0, right? So it will start going to 0 like this, ground, and it will not abruptly drops down. It is going to take some time. Okay, so this is how the input output characteristics you can see in a practical way. Okay, right. So in this case, we will go for identifying something like rise time and fall time. So before going to that, so we'll say from the mid swing, that is from the when input changes output changes from 0 to VD by 2. Okay, so in this case, the time taken for going to the high level, so we call this time, okay, as TP low to high. Okay, TP low to high duration. Okay, this is what we just seen here. So from, sorry, okay, so from here to here, so we call it, this is the T1, this is T2, so T naught. So TP low to high, okay, transition, the time is nothing but this one. So T1 minus T naught will be your TP low to high. So similarly, TP high to low is nothing but from here to here, that is VDD to VDD by 2. This is 0 to VDD by 2. This will be VDD to VDD by 2. So this is nothing but T3 minus T2 will be called as a TP high to low. Okay, so this essentially we can call as a this is nothing but a fall time, but not exactly. This is actually it should be, this TF is wrong. It should be TF divided by 2, and this should be TR divided by 2. So if you want rise time and fall time, so what you can say? So we can just double this TP low to high, so that will become your rise time. Okay, so 2 times TP low to high will become rise time, and 2 times TP high to low will become fall time. So here to here is fall time, and here to here is your rise time. Okay, and what is the delay time? So delay time, I told you, the time difference between input transition, that is 50% to the 50% of the output level. So that means from here to here. So that you can give by average value of the delay time is given by TP low to high plus TP low high to low divided by 2. So this will be your delay time equation. Okay, right. So coming to this part, um, so we take this as rise time, and as I said, the input actually varies from 0 to VDD by 2 for most of the time. So in that case, we can take for this transition only this one I'm considering here in this case. So we can say there is the this one actually your PMOS will be in saturation region, because when you give input as 0, logic 0, here what will happen, this will turn on, this will turn off. So this will be in cutoff open circuit, and this will be in saturation. Okay, we consider saturation as constant current source. We replace that one is constant current source. Okay, that is we call it IDSP. Okay, so we can see that rise time is defined as a time taken for any waveform to rise from 10% of the value to the 90% of a steady state. Okay, right. So now, I said before, so rise time corresponds to 2 times the TP low to high. So this is your TP T1 minus T naught. This duration is from here to here is TP low to high. So if we double that, so we can get that as a rise time. From here to here, we can call it a rise time, right? That is the thing. So we can call as 2 times your TP low to high as a rise time in this case. Okay. So what is TPLH? TPLH is T1 minus T0. So if you try to model that in the previous, you have done this one. So what is the current equation? So what is the current equation? Since this is the saturation part, so we know the saturation region equation for current, that is ID equals beta by 2 into VGS minus VT whole square. So in this case it is a PMOS device. So IDSP equals beta P into VGS P minus VTP whole square divided by 2. So this will be your current equation. Okay. So since when you go here, so this VDD is going to pass and charge your capacitance to the VDD part through this PMOS transistor, and most of the time it will be a linear path charging. So from 0 to VDD by 2. So we can take in this case, so it's charging from here to here. I'm considering only TP low to high. So that means it is rising from, so 0 level to this is the VD. So this is 0 level to this is VD by 2 level. So this is the output swing. So V out can be given as V out is equal to IDSP into T divided by CL. Okay, IDSP or ID current into T divided by CL. Okay, so in this case V out I am taking from 0 to VD by 2. Okay, that means we can take VD by 2 minus 0 exactly equal to IDSP is beta P into VD minus VTP was divided by 2. And what is T here taken? So time is actually T1 minus T0. Okay, so from here to here at T1 minus T0. So T1 minus T0 I have taken for T, and this is your load capacitance CL. So in this case, so VDD minus by 2 minus 0 we will get VDD by 2. So this 2 will get cancelled. So this essentially this T1 minus T0 is nothing but TP low to high, right? So TP low to high is equal to, so we can just go for cross multiplication. So VDD into this CL will go here. So CL into VDD. So divided by this entire thing will come down. So beta P into VDD minus VTP whole square. So this will be the equation for your TP low to high. So then what is the equation for your rise time? So for rise time anything but 2 times TPLH, right? So rise time anything but 2 times TPLH, that is TR is equal to just 2 into this entire thing. Okay. So this will be your uh, rise time equation. Okay. And so in this case it is actually approximated as 3 into CL divided by beta P into VDD, and we are getting this equation because, so we are assuming your VTP, that is threshold voltage VTP, as equal to 0.2 times of VDD. Okay, so we'll just assume this VTP whatever is there, we'll replace this VTP with say 0.2 times of VDD. So then you will solve this. So then you're going to, after solving, you're going to get approximately equal to 3 times CL divided by beta P into VDD. And I will come to the point to why we are taking something like 0.2 times of VDD in the next slides. Okay, why we are taking this VTP as 0.2 VDD. Okay, so this is your rise time calculations. So we'll go for fall time. So fall time is similar to this. Okay, so fall time you can call as it is depend on the time taken for a waveform to fall from 90% of the to 10% of the steady state value. Okay, so this is constituted by TP low to high in this case. So this is TP low to high means T3 minus T2 is your TP low to high. You 2 times TP low to high anything but your fall time. Okay, right. So in this case, so the input is high, right? So when the input is high, so your NMOS is on, that means it is going to act as a saturation region. We replaced it with sorry, constant current source, and your PMOS will be off. That's why I'm showing it as open circuit. Okay, so now the capacitance will try to discharge linearly in a linear path, okay, to your ground level. So that is discharging. So we can take the same equation here. V out is equal to, in this case the current is IDSN into T divided by load capacitance. So here the same equation we can just go for here. The transition is, previously it was VDD2 by 0 from here to here. So in this case it is something like from VDD to VDD by 2. This is the time duration I'm taking, TP high to low. So VDD to VDD by 2 VDD minus VDD by 2 and equals to the current equation is beta by 2 into Vgs minus Vt whole square, and again we have Cl in the denominator here, and what is T here? The T value is T3 minus T2. So T3 minus T2 essentially is equal to Tp high to low, so we can just cross multiply in this side, so we'll end up with something like Tp high to low equals VDD into Cl divided by beta n into VDD minus Vtn whole square. Okay, so here the similar way what we have done for rise time calculations, fall time is equal to 2 times Tp high to low, and that will become 2 times this entire thing here. Okay, and approximately equal to 3 times Cl divided by beta n into VDD. So why this 3 times approximated means, I told you, so your Vtn you can replace with 0.2 times of VDD. So then you just solve that, you will go to get approximately this value. Okay, right. So this is about your rise time and fall time of the inverter, whatever. Okay, how we want to calculate that one. Right. So another thing. So very first slide we discuss something like delay time. So that is TD equals to TP low to high plus TP high to low divided by 2. So we already know what is TP low to high. We already know what is TP high to low. We just derived that, and we just replace this and solve this equation. Okay, so you are going to end up like this. So you're going to get and something like 1 by beta n plus 1 by beta p into Cl divided by Vd into 1 minus Vt by Vd whole square. So this is the expression you're going to get. So if you just substitute this one, the previous equations in this equation. Okay, and essentially what I'm doing here is I'm just replacing what is the value of beta and beta p here. So beta p is nothing but kW by L, right? Beta is nothing but kW by L. In this case, beta p means kpWp by Lp, beta n means knWn by Ln. So in this case, so it will become reciprocal here. So Ln divided by. So this is your delay equation you're going to get. Okay, so what is the importance of this means, we can easily say or analyze the circuit or delay analysis we can perform. So we can see here, so the delay TD is directly proportional to length of the channel, right? Length of the NMOS and length of the PMOS. Okay, so if we increase the length of the channel, that is if you increase the L, okay, that means your delay will increase. Okay, right? If the channel length is increased, delay will increase. Okay, and here we have W in the denominator, that is TD is actually inversely proportional to Wn. So in this case, if you increase the W width of the transistor, if you increase the width of the transistor, that means delay will reduce. So increasing the width will reduce the delay, increasing the length will increase the delay. Okay, and again this is a process parameter, so it's K. Okay, at the same time, so we discussed something like load capacitance in the very first slide. Okay, so that is your lumped capacitance, parasitic capacitance, wiring capacitance, all included. If the load is there, so if the load capacitance is more, okay, so if load capacitance is more, your delay will increase. If load capacitance is less, the delay will come down. Okay, right? This is the things. So this is one thing. This is why if you take different technologies, so something like 180 nanometer to if you come down to 19 nanometer, 45 nanometer, in this case the CL will come down, right? Essentially because the dimension will come down. So when the dimensions of all the layers will come down, the capacitance associated with it also come down. So that's the reason when you move from one technology to another technology, so nowadays the present technology, so that's why you're getting something like the faster circuits, okay, with lesser delays. So you're going to get faster circuits. Okay, so load capacitance will come down. So when you scale down your transistor, okay, because that will essentially scale down your area, right? So that's the thing. So if the load capacitance increases, the delay also increases. And there is a parameter here, VDD, the supply voltage VDD. So it may be 5 volt, whatever, 5 volt, 1.8 volt, something like that. So this VDD, if we try to analyze the relation here, so it's in denominator also here. Okay, so that means if you increase VDD, delay will come down. Okay, if we increase VDD, delay will come down. So that means we cannot go for higher voltage always. So that means if suppose you have 1 volt VDD is there, we are getting some delay, and in order to reduce the delay, what I will do, it will increase the VDD. So I will increase VDD to 5 volt. So from 1 volt to 5 volt. So of course delay will come down, but when the power supply voltage is more, the power consumption is more. Okay, so this is essentially not going to work out for low power devices, because more power means is going to consume more energy, right? That is the, it's not low power when you start increasing your VDD. And this VDD is also present here in this case. Okay, so in this case it's also dependent on VT of any transistor. So we cannot alone increase or decrease the VDD. Suppose we have say 1 volt here as VT, and we have something like 5 volt. Okay, so or something like this. So if you try to scale down, if you decrease the VDD here, and this VDD should not be equal to VT. Okay, something like if VT is 1 volt, and if you're keeping VDD as a 1.1 volt, something like that. So in that case, so what will happen? So this ratio will become entirely very lower value. Okay, and 1 minus some, that lower value will essentially again becomes still smaller value, and this still smaller values, uh, a square of that will become still very smaller value, and that the smaller value means this delay will still increase more. Okay, so essentially when we are scaling the VDD, so we always keep in mind of VT, that is threshold voltage, and you will try to always go for scale VDD and VT together. Okay, so we usually go for your threshold voltage, so will be equal to nearly zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 times of the VDD. So that means your threshold voltage should not be close to VDD. Okay, so it should not be close to VDD, it should be almost zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 times of the VDD, it should be within this. Okay, so it should not go zero point 0.8 times of VDD, something like that. So closer it becomes, the delay will increase. Okay, so this is about your uh, so delay time. So this particular what I've discussed, the concept, this not in your actual syllabus, so this particular slide, but it's essential to understand the concept of so VLSI design. Okay, that's the reason I discussed this particular parameters here. Okay, so now how we can reduce the delays. So delays depend on so many parameters here. So how we can essentially reduce the delay of inverter. So one thing is I can just increase the width, right? We call it something like gate sizing. It's one of the method we can go. Okay, so we have some other methodologies how we can try to reduce the delays. Okay, inverter delays. Okay, so this inverter delays we'll go to discuss in the another session, the next session. Okay, we'll have another topic, that is driving large load capacitances, driving the large capacitances. So where we will discuss something like buffer sizing and BiCMOS technology. Okay, and cascaded stages. Okay, so this we will discuss in the next class. Okay, next session. Okay, right. So thank you.